Before you start singing. Yeah.
Continue.
Hi, Uti. Hi, Elsie.
Hello. You didn't get the green memo?
No, I didn't get the green
didn't get
memo. But guess what? You guys are
she
looking
didn't get it.
lovely.
Right,
I
tried
love
to
the
be all
green.
green.
Well, I got
Thank
the
you.
green memo here, right?
Yeah.
So I was saying that I needed to start with me. Is it me how?
Ni hao.
Ni hao. You know, because everybody says I say, yeah, I went back to
Yes.
my root, the Chinese, you know.
Yes.
How are you? Let me start with okay. Let me start with Uti. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
How was your weekend?
It's-
That's how you did not follow us for yoga and
So
wellness.
that yoga, there was a bit of miscommunication.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was one day when they said it
No,
was
it's actually a
3
3-day
days.
program.
In fact, he came back and said it was 4 days. And I
Yeah,
thought
it was
to
actually
myself,
supposed to be 4, but they
Yeah.
made a concession for us to do 3 days because I told them we know because weekdays we are here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I told them if they can do it 2 weekends in a row, I don't mind doing Saturday, Sunday,
So
Saturday, Sunday.
he now broke it down and explained why he couldn't. So we now understood why. So it's a class. It's not like you're just going for just yoga. So they teach you so many things about your breath.
Come
Your
and
so
teach us.
it's a complete class. So so that's why he can't break it. You know, so
Yeah.
you don't forget what you learned 2 weeks ago and all of that.
Yeah, wow. We'll write it
Sounds
down.
like
now.
you guys had fun.
But anyway,
But Elsie-
my weekend
Elsie
was
Godwin, how are you doing?
restful, yoga-ish. We won the Champions League, please. I'm a Chelsea fan.
Oh, you're a Chelsea fan?
You know,
Chelsea
we won
fans
it.
unite.
We won it. You know, and my weekend was just amazing. I mean, there's nothing to complain about. Nothing. Champions League is bad.
Everybody, like every Chelsea fan is lit. Like,
Very
I'm
little.
litty.
I went to the
Happy.
mall, the shopping mall. I saw nose mask. Everybody was wearing Chelsea nose mask. I said, kilo deal.
But you know, that's the funny thing. That's how I actually started supporting Chelsea. It was, I think it was 1998 or 1990.
Most people in the UK
97
support
or
Chelsea.
96. They won something that year. I'm trying to remember what it was now. And I came out from work, and all I saw was a sea of blue.
Blue.
And I said, what's going on here? And everybody's looking at me like, what do you mean, what's going on? I'm like, what's going on? He says, Chelsea, innit? I'm like, what's Chelsea? Everyone's looking at me like,
No, UK people.
what do you mean, what's Chelsea? So that's what actually got me into and then football.
Yeah. A
But-
lot of people that live in the UK, Nigerians especially, they are all Chelsea fans. All of them.
Well, you know, I can forgive
we're
anything apart
happy.
from being an Arsenal fan.
Proud.
I'm an Arsenal fan.
No.
You
By
people are-
marriage.
By marriage.
Don't worry, we are fine. We're all right.
Arsenal
You-
fans
before-
put you,
you
We are
people
gunners.
They put you on football.
You people are gone.
See, be careful the word you use to describe yourself. So gunners.
They are gone.
True.
As well. That's why we're talking
True, it's
communication
true.
today. All right, so we're talking communication, and here's what we found as today's quote. No matter what people tell you, words and ideas can change the world. That's from Robin Williams, and this is so powerful and so apt. You know, a lot of times people think words don't matter. They do.
It does.
They do.
Every single word that comes out of your mouth. All right, so brand image is important for any business, person, or nation. When consumers buy a product or service, they aren't just buying a product or service, they are buying what your brand stands for. That's why it's so important to design your brand image to convey exactly what you want it to say. So what is the popular Nigerian brand image today? Well, I can make an endless list, from insecurity, which includes banditry, Boko Haram, to corruption, fraud. The list is endless. So
You're
however,
harsh.
yeah, is
You're
it?
harsh.
Yeah, so however, are there great things, the nation is known for? And the answer is yes. So how can we begin to communicate these positives more with the hope to rebuild a better Nigeria? That's our conversation tonight, and Yinka Adebayo is here to discuss this. But first, let's take a break to see what we found in the news. All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, every year, World No Tobacco Day is observed in order to spread awareness of the dangers related to using tobacco. So the World Health Organization created World Tobacco Day in 1987 to draw global attention to the epidemic, to the tobacco epidemic, and preventable death and disease that it causes. Now, the theme for this year, World No Tobacco Day, is Commit to Quit. Now, the people who smoke cigarettes can face more complications, especially in this COVID-19 season, which can even lead to death. They face about 40% or to 50% added risk due to this habit. So be reminded that, especially as we're dealing with the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, if you can, by all means, quit smoking. Who was talking to us about cigarettes that said her father, oh yeah, at the, okay, you went out for a break. We went for yoga, as we mentioned, Art of Living. So the instructor, what's her name, Priyanka? She was telling us how her father, so they just used this opportunity, the COVID-19 opportunity to tell him, because he's a chain smoker, like 2 packs a day. So now, the man, right, because when they showed him how people are dying, because, it directly affects your lungs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, please, for those that are smoking, for anything, for your life, for your safety, let's try to quit. Let's commit to quit. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
I mean, I've never understood smoking. I always liken it to taking an actual note, roll up a couple of 1,000 naira notes and just light it. I'm sure you probably get a bigger high from smoking actual money than actually burning tar. So I've never understood it. Literally, it is burning money. But apparently there's a nice high
There's
after
a nice
it,
feel to it.
I
I don't
get it.
understand
I never
cigarette
understood
as
it.
well.
Yeah,
The interesting part
it.
for me is how we keep chanting smokers are liable to die young. And it's one of the biggest industry in the world. So I don't understand.
That's the power.
I don't understand the conversation, or I don't even get involved in no tobacco or no smoke. If you want to smoke, Abi, it's not working for me and you. Case closed. We'll move on. Enjoy your life. It's just an interesting, because there's been research around it and why people are still so addicted to it, even as much as where you're buying it is written on the shelf.
Pack, yeah.
On the pack, really, right? It's there to tell you don't do this, but you keep doing it, and it's not.
That's why
it
an
is not.
addiction.
That's what I
It
was
is
gonna
also
say.
not banned,
It's based on
right? It is. Oh yeah, this thing will kill you, but take it. You can buy it anywhere.
But you have a
But there's
choice.
so many things like that, though. Smoking will kill you. Drinking will kill you. Cars could kill you.
Everything could kill
That's
you.
what they say.
Anyway.
That's why they say something must kill
So-
a man.
And that
exactly.
is how
Yes.
they defend it
Yeah.
and keep smoking
Yeah,
it.
they say something must kill a man.
So it doesn't bother me. No.
All right, so let me come to Uti. What did you find for us in the news today?
Okay, so my story is, the headline says, give me 1 second now. So the FG is to privatize 12 highways tomorrow. So the federal government is officially opening a bid for value-added concessions under the Highway Development and Management Initiative on 12 highways tomorrow. The affected roads are the Benin-Asaba Road, Abuja-Lokoja, Kaduna-Kano, Onitsha-Owerri, Aba, Shagamu-Benin, and Abuja-Kefi-Akwanga, Lokoja-Benin, Enugu-Port Harcourt, Ilorin-Tijeba, Lagos-Ota-Abeokuta, Lagos-Badagry, and Kano-Shuari-Potiskum-Damaturu. So, I mean, these are all very, very key roads. And I agree. So some people don't believe in PPPs. I think that the scope of the challenges, infrastructure challenges that we have in this country, we need PPP. What we must find is capable hands. We must find well-structured contracts. We must have people understand the way PPP works. Because I think that sometimes we also have a mindset about these things, and sometimes we feel like, and this is not to say one doesn't know, but of course corruption is everywhere, and we feel that sometimes it's a vehicle. I mean, I guess the most popular PPP probably today would be the Lekki Expressway with the tolls, because you know of everything that has happened. But that's a company that also was a PPP. But we all know the theories and stories behind that. But this is a welcome development, given the amount of projects that we have seen where the government runs out of money. It's important for us to be able to privatize these roads and get people on the road. I mean, all the roads that are listed here
Are very key
roads.
terrible. They're key roads, and they're in a terrible, terrible state. So they really, really could do with this influx. So I hope that they get some decent
I think it would be
bids.
nice for us to also invite the Minister for Works and Housing. Let's
have him on the show again.
Yeah, to break it down. Let's even understand how this.
Are we going to have tolls on all these roads?
You would
because
have
those
to
are the
be
kind
the
of
plan.
questions
Yeah.
I would love
They
to
would,
ask.
they would have to recoup their money, and it will sadly be by tolls. But again, I always say this, that it is you getting what you pay for, and it's value for money.
But you know they are not doing the tolls the right way. You see, normally, you see these heavy-duty trucks, which are the ones that really damage these roads. When you go abroad, when you travel, you see them, there's a particular, they get to a point, they go out of the road. They have the weighing, where they weigh them, they check the scale to ensure that it's the right weight for that road. So outside of just doing the road, let us even put those infrastructures on ground, right?
But
Since we do not have rails,
I was just
to
going
move
to
the
say
heavy
that
load
where
things.
would you put them? Because
Well,
you weighing
rails
them
are
would
coming
imagine
back.
that you would have an alternative for them
No,
to
and
go.
they would have to pay fines.
But
You get?
so now they pay, so what you could increase it because they pay a higher rate. When you go through the toll here, it's a different price depending on the class of car. So fair enough, yes, you could do that. But it just speaks to the larger challenges that we have. But what I was even trying to say was there are certain things that we also have to normalize because we don't normalize these things here because we know that a lot of things have been affected by greed and corruption. But the fact is, you pay value for money. I remember the first or second trip where I drove interstate in the United States. I paid almost $20 in toll, and it's coins here, there, and you know,
I
and
paid
all
as
the way.
well. Yeah.
So you pay toll. It's a normal thing. I remember the same thing in Canada. In fact, Canada, I got back home and then I got a bill. To say you passed all these roads, and I'm like, I didn't even see toll. They said, no, in Canada it's just camera.
Because it's cameras, it
You know,
captures, even in the US as well.
So we got to normalize these things because this is the money. I always say it. I say, look, I understand the challenges people will have with this Lekki road, but I keep saying it. I said the day LCC stops to function, that's when this road will become like Ikorodu road because now, at least when cars break down, there's somebody there to control the traffic. There's so I mean, you know,
Well, but
value
then
for money. We just have to be able to. We have to be able to see
pay
the
for it,
value
yeah.
to then appreciate.
I also
it.
think they
fine.
should also think of quality as well because I don't understand the idea of doing a road and in the next
Over and
5
over again,
years.
yes. Is it 5 years? 5 years is too long.
stretched now yet.
Yeah, but then, like we said, think about all the things that impact the road. There's the weight of the vehicles. There's the fact that our roads are not
But it's
properly
not just
finished.
the waste
No,
of
wait,
the
the
vehicle.
roads are
The
themselves.
roads are not properly
No,
done,
they're not
really.
properly finished. Now, here's the thing. You have weather conditions. There's the argument that we shouldn't use tar here. We should actually use concrete.
Yeah.
There's that. Now, even check this Lekki Ikoyi road. We don't have borders to
There
our
are no
roads.
drainages.
So apart from even drainage, we don't even have borders. So the fact is, they just stop wherever they pour the tar,
That's it.
and then they stand right
few
there. Of
granites.
course,
But you see the
erosion.
same thing I'm saying because
erosion
if you want
starts
to
to
do
go-
it well, all these things you're pointing out is what they should
With
know
proper
to
road.
ensure that it's done
Well,
well.
maybe
So
if
it's
they do the
quality.
PPP that way, because you know it's private money, you do
do
the road
well.
right. It's possible.
Well, it takes
Yeah.
a
hope
lot
so.
to
Yeah.
do it.
Okay, my own
Quickly,
story, yeah.
We ran out of time.
Residents in the southeast, or at least some states, Oka, for example, in the city, Oka, comply with IPOB's sit-at-home order to honor the Igbos who died during the Nigerian Civil War. The IPOB leader, Nnamdi Kanu, said the date was moved to May 31 from May 30th to allow residents to go to church. Yeah, and it's interesting to see people really complying. And I don't know if it's from understanding why they are complying or from fear, because I saw some reports that were saying, oh, they had to stay at home because they don't want issues or
Anybody
people
to
coming to
attack them.
harass them. So it's a mixture of
Whether it's
they
solidarity or-
it's a mixture of solidarity and also from fear, right? But I like
To
that.
mention the current state of the entire region.
So I like that there is peace to an extent.
Is there?
To an extent. In some states, in Oka, for example. But in
I
Imo
don't
States,
know. I don't know. Yeah,
it's-
exactly.
It's
So
rowdy. I saw in news
there's
of
a lot
the
going
governor
on.
escaping, allegedly escaping being killed. Because that video is interesting.
Okay, mine is a feel-good story.
We need more of those.
Please, I don't have energy. Today, I'm in a good mood. I went for 3-day yoga and wellness session.
Okay.
So I have to be happy all the time. All right, so this young lady, what's her name now? She beat the record of, that's S.A. Brume. She erases, Choma Ajua now, 25-year-long standing
I
record.
remember the
Wow.
day she made that record.
How you tell me?
I remember.
Because I used to watch Olympics a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm happy. I'm so excited for this young girl. I am trying to look for her jump. Yeah, it's about 7.17
meters or something.
Yeah, 12 meters in the. She did that jump. I mean, so I'm so happy and I'm glad, and I hope the government would
Yeah, 7.17. But I mean, the thing about it is,
You are the one bringing
Yeah.
the government to this conversation.
well, because now this is the Nigerian brand. These are the things
And I like
that
that it is a Nigerian
You
that's still
understand?
breaking the record of a
pushing
Nigerian.
the boundaries. So, well, that's why we're talking communication today. Because there are good things that we're doing. If the government had a bit of, understanding of the power of communication, there are some things you would really, really project more. We're not projecting our good in this country, right? So let's
is it
try.
this lady,
I'm
young
just
lady?
saying.
And just for clarification's sake, all in the bid to communicate better. Is it this young lady you're referring to that they should project
that she's abroad
better? Nigerians in sports are pretty much on their own. That's the way it is. So
is it just Nigerians in sports?
Sad.
No, especially.
Well, so especially in sports, particularly things like track and field and things like that.
Well,
we are quick to
associate.
Thank you.
When we say
associate with them when they win and when they're success stories. But what support do we really provide? I mean, it hurts me when I see athletes of Nigerian descent running for other countries, for Russia, for this, for
different
that.
countries.
It's about the money.
Well, they got to eat, so I can't even be mad.
Of course,
take a break.
You can't be mad.
Brume, we love you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Well done.
Thank you for flying the Nigerian flag.
Yeah. When we come back from the break, we're going to be talking communication. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Welcome to The Breakfast.
A breakfast where we unbundle top and big stories of the day.
Is vaccine the only way out of this pandemic?
No, definitely not.
Many Ghanaians just want a peaceful election and they are hoping there will be no rigging.
There is nothing bad in borrowing for infrastructure. The minister added that he was impressed.
Please come and see yourself what we are doing with the money we have borrowed.
It's very important. The way we brand ourselves is the way people will carry us.
It's just the driver of the two vehicles that were completely burned. This one was here screaming.
What do you recommend the government do to support this sector?
Direct intervention, that's what every government all over the world has done.
We are not a parallel ticketing structure. A multiple core is a complementary core.
What I will not encourage Christians to do is to carry dagger and follow anybody. No.
Join us on The Breakfast, 7 a.m., Monday to Friday.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, then go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, Nigeria is a nation endowed with rich human and natural resources. Now, one of the key things that have contributed in slowing her level of development is the bad image associated with the country and her people. And this is due to the fraudulent acts of a few Nigerians at home and abroad. It is therefore pertinent that Nigeria needs image rebranding to help change the perception of outsiders and even some Nigerians. So how can we help the Nigerian government to understand the need for proper communication? How can we win back the trust of her citizens through proper communication? What should be the right feedback channels and citizen engagement, if there should be any? And how can we leverage technology through digital media to build a better image for our nation, Nigeria? These are the few things that we're going to be considering tonight. So please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Tweet at us at WeShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WeShow, or you send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. So I'm going to bring in our guest like in a minute or two, but I have a digital guru here, our online specialist, and I have a communication what do they call him? Executive.
Sure.
As the CEO of something.
We
might bring in our guest. She's the customer representative, everything customer care. So let me start with you, Utsi. We've always talked about Nigeria, branding, rebranding, the right communication. But I think, for me, like we've dedicated our Mondays towards progressive conversations, and this is one of those conversations. So when you look at the communication channel in Nigeria, do you think we're doing it right? How we are projecting our country to ourselves and to the world?
Let me not talk about projecting ourselves internally, but I'll certainly talk about projecting ourselves externally. What is the narrative that is associated with Nigeria, with Nigerians, in whatever country, whether it's in Africa, whether it's in abroad? The reality of it is we're consistent. It's either we are big spenders, it's corruption, it's 419, it's, so there's all these negative things. And that noise has drowned out everything potentially positive. And we're doing a lot of positive things. And the thing is, when you don't tell people who you are, and you don't tell people what you're about, people will only talk about what they know and what they experience. And this is what they see. I remember my first experience in university, and I said to someone, oh, I come from Nigeria. And the first question the person asked me was, do you live on trees? And I thought, no, you really can't be. I remember having to ask my mom to send me a tape back then, of course, of a Nollywood movie so that this person could see Lagos and see Nigeria. When I think about how a country communicates itself, if I say here to anybody, the American dream, we all know what it is. We all associate, we understand what it is. We understand what America stands for. Nigeria, what do we stand for? We stand for all the wrong things, but we have so many positives. I like all these feel-good stories that I see. I saw the other one the other day of I think the boy is now 14, who, youngest to go to Oxford or something like that. He was 6 years old, and and he's now back in Kano, I think, building a school and doing some charity work. There are brilliant Nigerians. When Ivy League schools graduate abroad in America, Nigerians everywhere. But we don't tell these stories because the negative, bad news travels faster. So, it's sad.
How about you, Elsie, quickly?
I like that she's talking about our perception outside Nigeria, but a government that cannot communicate effectively to its citizens, how exactly do you expect them to communicate outside of the country? So there is, as far as I'm concerned, you're asking if there is communication. To me, it's non-existent because I see people basically reacting to information that is leaked on social media. You are not at the top of it. You're not at the forefront of it. You're not, if I want to know anything and know it to the details, you're not giving it to me. I can't come to your website to see. Even those that are supposed to be the mouthpiece of the government don't understand the words that they are not supposed to be using, things they're not supposed to be saying. And when you tell them these things, they tell you we are human, we cannot take the heat. That is why you are in a public office. You are not supposed to react the way, even me, there are ways I cannot react and I'm just a TV presenter. So why exactly would you be the SA to the president?
Spokesperson.
And you don't understand that there are things, there are ways you should carry yourself, there are things you should react to. And even when you're reacting, you should be very professional about it. So when you have people who don't even understand communication, occupying the seats of communication in a government, then it's a problem already.
It's a big, very big problem.
Yeah.
So that's why we have the communication expert here. We're bringing our guest in. Yinka Adebayo has over 20 years of experience in the field of marketing, communications with a key focus on advertising and media. He started his career with PromoServe Limited and worked with few other advertising agencies and on several multinational clients before joining MediaReach OMD. Now, his experience spans a wide range of products, including FMCGs, telecoms, banking, automobile, and airline industry. I think virtually everything, Sha. I don't know about that. Virtually everything. And he's joined us live in studio. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I mean, this is your second visit on Ways, and when we talked about, I mean, we're trying to draft who should we bring in for this topic. I think there's nobody else that comes to mind because you are, you know, an effective communicator, and you know. But you see, today we're not bringing you to talk so much. We'll talk about branding later in terms of like marketing and advertising. But you know, I know what I was saying to you behind the scene, that I know how even the narratives when it comes to our advertising and everything is truly changing gradually. You know, there are some narratives they are pushing. I mean, with women agenda, you see, brands are more conscious now to push the right narrative when it comes to even advertising. So if we can translate that and move it into the Nigerian brand as a country, how do we, or where do we start from, you know, rebranding? Because we are in dire need of changing the narrative in Nigeria. And I liked what Elsie and Uti said, you know, especially because if you want anybody to do business with you, right, we need the business. And people cannot come to your country if these are the things that they say, or if they go online, this is what they see about you. So where do we start from in terms of rebranding or reimaging this country, Nigeria?
Well, thank you so very much, and thanks for having me. I think we need to start from the scratch. I think the foundation itself was very, very wrong in the first place. So building on it has been a problem. And when you say starting from the scratch, it's starting from our individual homes. When you talk of the branding, you see, you need to give life to it, and that is to say we need to change our orientation in entirety. Unfortunately for us, a couple of guys, we need to be careful about what we say and how we say it. Maybe starting from the kids, what kind of orientation are we giving them? What kind of communication, what kind of things are we allowing them to say or see? You see, without you saying anything, even the way you address speaks volume about you. Because in life, you need to address the way you want to be addressed. And communication, there are two ways to it. Whether you like it or not, you are communicating. It's now either you take control of the narrative or you allow the narrative to take control of you. By taking control of the narrative, you actually determine what you want people to say, to see, and feel about you. And that's where we need to take control so that we're actually positioned in the right way. And I think that's why we need to change the orientation of our people right from the start so that they begin to see. They're like small win. Whether it's big or how you project it will determine whether it is big or small. So we need to learn how to start celebrating ourselves. Unfortunately for us, we don't celebrate ourselves as much. Oftentimes you find out that, and that is why most of our local talent find favor going out, because they know when they win the outside, you will come back to them. And we've seen it clearly among our youth. Look at the musicians, when they are growing up, nobody identify with them. But when they now arrive, that's when you see everybody gallivanting. But now boy has been in this country forever. But when he won Grammy, that's when they remember it's from Port Harcourt. But he has just been there. What has Port Harcourt government done to support him? These are critical questions that we need to celebrate little wins, so that when they become big, it speaks volume for us. And those other countries we are talking about, the development, it's not that they don't have their own negative side, but it's what they project that you see. So it's important that we take control of the narrative so that we take advantage. And that's all about positioning. Positioning oftentimes is not what you do to the product, it's what you do to people's mind. And when you're able to capture people's mind, even your enemy will fight for you.
So taking control of the narrative, we've been saying this over and over again here, but if you say we have to catch them young, that's like a whole generation coming from behind, right? I don't know. I think it's long for me. What can we do now and here, especially with social media as well? Because we had Femi Odugbemi last week, and he was talking about how the things we put on social media as well portrays the country. So if you come to Nigeria space, when it comes to Twitter especially, or let's not even get to Facebook, you come to Twitter and you want to know about Nigeria, get a feel of Nigeria. Right now, even between 2 days and 3 days ago, it is bloodshed, death, people are not safe, insecurity, and I don't think any investor who want to, I know they base their decisions on something more, but of course, social media has a role to play. So how do we begin to get into the minds of these youths? Let's not even go to the younger ones, right? To make them understand that it's not all bad, and Nigeria is not the worst country in the world.
Very valuable. You see, I mentioned something about starting from the scratch. And when I say starting from the scratch, yeah, we probably need to start with the youth and possibly the whole essence of it is that we are pretty much a youthful nation. What that means is the fact that these guys are energetic, they are vibrant, so we need to, and they are excited about things. So meaning that we need to let them see the positive side of things. And you see, in life, they need to be aware of the fact that what you say is not as important as how you say it. And now how you say it might not be as important as when it is said. So the what, the how, and the when, very, very important. Negative news will naturally happen. And you are journalists, you know, negative news travel faster than positive news. People are quick to, out of excitement. But we need to pull back to say, hey, guys, what is this communicating? No news is good or bad. How you position, how you present it will determine whether it is good or bad. That is why in the traditional Africa, when something negative happens, they look for elders to go and break the news. Oh, somebody is dead. How do we start off from? And you can see they create what we call soft landing. So that way, that is where we think. Oftentimes we are quick to just drop it the way we see it, bam, and everybody go, bam, bam, bam. And that is what others are watching. And they pick. At the end of the day, we say, why are they saying negative things about you? But you've said negative things about yourself. It's the way you dress. That's the way you have been addressed. So we need to think of other countries to equally face negative news. But like I said, no news is either, even when it is negative news, how you present it, how you project it will go a long way and people say, wow, perhaps this is an exception. How do we now look at the positive side and make sure we project? But sometimes we are reluctant to project that positive side, particularly when it has nothing to do with us. We are quick to pull down rather than build up. And it's easy to destroy anyway. But building, and that's our orientation that needs to be changed. We need to see how do we build, how do we use communication to build, because when you are not there, it's that communication that speaks for you. There are some people who have not been to Nigeria, but they've heard so much about Nigeria down there. When they open their mouth to speak about the country, you wonder, have you been there? No, they've not. They don't need to be, but what they hear about it, and that is why social media these days makes the world a global village. We need to be sensitive to what we put out there, how we put it out, knowing fully well that those who are reading are just not within the confines of Nigeria, even those who are outside, and they are forming opinion. They are getting an impression. They are beginning to look at. I like what she said before we went on here. Was like, I was saying, are you guys living on treat at this modern age? And that is why many of the foreigners, when they come in a desperate, they are excited. Damn. And that's why many of them find it very comfortable. You know, for the current challenges we're having, they find it more homely here than even their own country. I've seen Indians who have told me that they feel more at home when they're in Nigeria than in their country. Because you see, when you have a population like ours, Nigeria is the only country where you can have people earning less than $1. And they're happy.
They're happy, yes.
They are dancing, they are smiling, because the aspirational level is so high, they know tomorrow it will be better. Man, no other country can beat us to that. But are we projecting it? Are we really appreciative of what we have? Because we need to appreciate it before others will appreciate us.
We are focused so much on the negatives. Let's see.
So, I mean, communication for me is about building relationships. And nobody can argue that we have a trust problem in Nigeria with our leadership. So in fact, when I saw the title of today's topic, I thought to myself, this is one that is powerful, because there is a huge gap between our leaders and the populace. How do we start to close that gap? Because at this point, it feels like nobody's talking. You know, at one point, everybody was like, you know, you watch things happen in other countries, and I know I keep using America as an example, but we've all seen it in the movies. We've seen it even in the news. COVID, the president is on every day talking about what they're doing, what is happening. How can we start to create some sort of trust, partnership, close the gap. Let's build a relationship between ourselves and our leaders, because it feels like it's not even a gap anymore. It's like a continent.
It's even widening by the day.
Yeah.
Well, in life they say silence is golden, but silence is not really golden, because silence in itself does not indicate wisdom. Knowing when to remain silent does. Unfortunately, we've not gotten it right in terms of communication. And like you said, the Nigerians, they are too energetic, they are too to be held back. It's either you tell them something or they fish out the information themselves, and they feel it there. So you need to take control by coming out to educate you. And that's why I think you guys are doing a whole lot in terms of getting people informed. We only hope and pray that the government officials who are supposed to be relating with the presidency, they are facing the right direction in terms of getting information and knowing what to address, when to address it, and how it should be addressed. These things are very important. And until it is done, because in a situation where you deny people of access to information, certainly they will form opinion. And in such a way, a whole lot of negative, and that's why you're not taking control of the narrative. What do you have in a situation? That narrative now takes control of you. And you now come in later, to rather than being proactive, you now be reactive to it. And that's where we are. And it's unfortunate, because this country...
We're even reactive.
That's another time. We're even reactive.
We're even reactive. It's like radio silence.
Like what we experienced during the NSA process was just the tip of the iceberg. The Nigerian youth are too energetic, they are too vibrant to be held back. These are guys who see what happened in other countries, and they are wondering, where exactly are we? And I dare say, that youthful segment needs to be respected. I must give it to them, because there happen to be one segment that you deny them of a whole lot, but on their own, they've succeeded in carving a niche for themselves. Is it in the music sector you want to talk about? Look at the likes of Whiskey, look at the likes of Bonaba. These are guys who grew from nothing to something. Now you are celebrating them. You can celebrate them, but only if you know what they've sacrificed to be where they are. Is it the comedy industry you want to talk about? What support?
Or is it tech?
What support they have? You look at tech. A couple of young guys have their offices on their phone or on their laptop, and they are doing an amazing job. They don't have offices. That's why you see them looking for office hub. They just sit down and do this. And you can, because yes, in government you've not provided anything for them, but on their own, they've succeeded in carving a niche. But then these people need to be engaged. They need to be informed. They need to know what direction are we headed. And that's the only way you can galvanize their support, galvanize their energy, and use it to advantage.
Okay, so...
But unfortunately, we are not there yet.
We are not there yet. You know, you're a brand person. I would like to ask that when you've made a mistake as a brand, right, how do you go back to communicate to your people to say, oh, we made a mistake? Because for me, I think that's the beginning of building trust. But we'll do that after the break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us now. If you're just tuning in, we're asking, how can we rebrand Nigeria using effective communication? Please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Tweet at us at WeShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WeShow, or send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. So before we went on a break, I was saying that, you know, there are cases where, as a brand person, you know, the brand promise that you gave to your clients or to your customers, you didn't meet up, right? So you are supposed to, how do you go back to say, you know what? Because taking a cue from what Uti said about building trust, because I think the biggest issues that we have in Nigeria today, why are you smiling at me, is that we don't trust Nigeria as a brand. We do not trust the Nigerian dream. We don't trust anything about Nigeria, because it seems like Nigeria consistently fails us. Where you see, there were times where people posted pictures when they were abroad, how they were looking so fresh. Meanwhile, when they were in Nigeria, they were looking rickety and all of that. So it seems like we
all just grew anyway.
Yes, we've put all our trust in the dream of going abroad, that's only when. But there are great things, like you rightly mentioned, that are happening here. So if you as a brand person, you've made a mistake, you made an error, you know, how do you go back to your customers, your clients, your citizens, say, you know what, this was an error. but this is what we need to do, and how do you move from there?
Well, even from the brand perspective, that's even far-fetched. You don't need to make a mistake before you. The only thing that is constant in life is change. If it is change, even into say, hey, what's going to be my direction, and you find out that your target audience, they are changing in terms of taste. You need to re-strategize, and that is why you feel that things like you do a relaunch. You need to do a re-strategize. You need to kind of like reassess yourself, and that is why research is very important. To constantly do what is the change pattern like, what is the taste pattern, what is the fashion pattern, how do I fit into this? Is this staying in line with that? The only person that cannot make any mistake in life is God. And unfortunately, we are all God, we are all human, we are not perfect. But you need to constantly react. Who am I talking to? What are they saying? What are their expectations? Am I meeting up to their expectations? If not, you repackage. And that's why you have brands that are repackaging, relaunching. It's not like it costs them a whole lot of money. But in doing that, they know they are repositioning for the future because they have a long haul to travel, and they must be in the right perception of the people. They must be well positioned so that people can relate and interact and react to them. So all of those things are very important. You need to re-strategize, you need to relaunch, you need to repackage, and that's where constant research becomes indispensable.
So that's why Nigeria is called restructuring.
Maybe say that our Nigerian government, they are not researching with that. Because I think they still see the Nigerian youth as puppets in their pocket.
No, as children.
Yeah.
We're talking about research, really, and research is not something where you need to commission. There are so many avenues that you can do.
There has to be a committee.
What we are doing here is a form of research because it's a feedback.
Yes, it's a feedback.
That was why I said earlier, government officials, are they looking in the right direction? Are they taking the right cue? When they hear some of those speakers, are they open enough to see it from positive perspective rather than, because when you zero your mind, you will block mind. Even when you see things that will benefit you, you throw it away.
Okay, let's talk about the role of media in this restructuring or rebranding of Nigeria. You said something. Okay, well, very quickly though, you said something about when we see the news, we reassess and think of how to report it, at least in a way that doesn't agitate everyone. So where do we draw the line in terms of the difference between projecting the image of Nigeria to be better and also being able to let people know what is happening in various regions of the country, reporting the truth? How do you draw the line?
Well, I think for me, really, you guys are communication experts, but there's a difference between saying, 10 people dead, than saying, 10 people dead today because of XY death, understanding the reason why. That puts things in perspective.
Okay.
Oftentimes, there's some information that you just throw it out there, and that is where our media guys, the journalists, need to do a whole lot more. Going behind it, it's not just breaking the news that matter, but understanding what is, because there must be a reason for something. Let's understand where, so that we can take learning. Where did we get it from? People mistake everywhere, but when they tell you the reason why, you know that, that gives a sense of some measures have been taken to make sure that it's corrected. Not that we just drop it in the media space and people form opinion to say, hey, it gets to a point right there, the kind of news you hear in the media space, is life still valuable in this country? Because the way it's just drop, and everybody, I begin to ask. But we need to put this in context to say, hey, what is leading to what? What are the measures being taken to guide against? And if nothing is being done, can we call people's attention to it? Yes, I know there have been cases where $10 bid, so many people, tanker trailer, happening. It is happening repeatedly. Is it happening repeatedly? Can we? Have you asked why? And that why should be such an investigative journalist going in to say, road expert, look at this road. Is there something here? I know some people have alluded it to traditional, but that's been far-fetched. But let's even look at, is that road, is there something wrong with the construction? Those are investigative journalists. And that is where the role of media is cut out now. Because the media, digital space, the traditional media cannot compete with digital media in terms of breaking the news. But digital too cannot compete with traditional media when it comes to doing investigative journalism. And that is where going to tell the story behind the story becomes more important, because it will go a long way in helping to put things into context. And people can now make meaning and informed opinion about it. And that's where we need to do a whole lot more.
So when we talk communication and making informed choices, we've talked about social media. I think it will be impossible for us to talk about social media, talk about communication, and not talk about the impact of incorrect information, the impact of fake news. Because this youth that you talk about, when you go on Twitter, there's a lot of agitation. You know, we joke and we say Twitter streets are savage. But a lot of the information that is out there today, I mean, first of all, we don't even know what is true anymore, what is fake. You have to be like, you know, really, really adept to be able to spot fake news. How can we start to claim that back? Because it is a gap, I believe, that is opened, that fake news is taken advantage of. So how do we use communication to close that gap and stop that?
Well, I think that's where the role of traditional media, in fact, that is one gap that has been existing for so long. I think I was opportune to be part of the panelists that discussed at the social media week, and I think the question was that, is the digital media going to take over traditional? I said, no, let's be careful. It's just like it will never take over, because that traditional media role is so important, it's so fundamental, that yes, digital, you can't control it, because for now, individuals can come up and say something. But the question, and you know, when you tell people, when you give an information out to people, the first question is, oh, how did you get that information? There are some platforms where I tell you I get that information from, you probably say, oh, it must be credible. There are some areas where I tell you I got it from you. I say, oh, no, you need to be careful. Are you sure it's real? And that is where the digital space is right now. So many information flying around. But it's not pure on the digital media to put things into context, to say, hey, listen, break it down.
Traditional media.
And traditional media, break it down, and let's know whether it's... And that is why they equally need to be careful. Because God let you, and like you said, the Twitter space is a so you need to actually be careful to be sure that you are always verifying your information. It might take time. Don't worry about the time, but you must do it in such a way that when you come up with that fact, people know that is the only gospel. And that is where credibility comes in. There are some platforms you mention, oh, I got the news from this platform today. People will give you, oh, I think I believe it by 99.9%. It's nothing. It's about positioning, like I said earlier. It's not what you do to the product, it's what you do to people's mind. There are cases where even when somebody make a mistake, you probably will make an excuse for that person. Because over time, you will find it consistently to be on top. And it has to be deliberate, it has to be intentional, it has to be purposeful. To be, hey, before I break this in, I will take my time. But I know when I come out with that news, nobody will fault it, and it's going to be so comprehensive that others will even feed off what I've come up with.
So I want to go to that part where all the time I see it play out, where a Nigerian company will break a news. We don't take it seriously until an international media house comes and breaks the news. Why is that? Why is that so? You know, because, you know, as a communication expert, do you think that it's still going back to the distrust that we have for the Nigerian brand? Because I remember, because when you're talking about investigative journalism, remember that fire that happened in Festac? I think, was it Festac that the BBC did the comprehensive forensics? They did all the, I mean, they were showing drone shots and all of that. And it seemed like, okay, you know, it's reliable. Then all of a sudden government came and said, no, that was not the reason, but let's leave government aside. You know, but there is always this constant trust of a foreign brand, right? A foreign narrative, comparing that to the Nigerian. So if a Nigerian media house should break a news, nobody takes it seriously, but when it's coming from a foreigner, so how can we, you know, how can we bridge that, or how can we close that, you know, that gap?
Well, I think that would still be there, because like I said, we need to change our orientation. It goes down to us. And you find out, let me relate it to what our even local players do, footballers. When they are ahead, we celebrate them. Look at, we have a top goal scorer under the Nigerian Premier League right now. Do you know the person? No. But like, if you open the phone line and tell me the top goal scorer in EPL, Nigerians will readily call you. We celebrate something from outside more than our own. And it's unfortunate. We are sitting on gold mine. So we need to constantly say how we celebrate that. And that is why it is important for the local media to say how they... And it's consistency. You know, like I said something about it being deliberate, being planned, and doing it consistently. You can't... You see, the respect you ask for is usually the one you don't deserve. If you truly deserve it, even your enemy will give it to you. Okay, when you see somebody telling you, don't you know who I am, the person is nothing. If you are something, who will be the one telling you? This is who you are, and that's where we'll get to. And you need to do it consistently. This news, I heard it from here. Oh, these people say, and that's why we need to equally have opportunity of showcasing ourselves, where we are the first in breaking it. If you have opportunity of saying it, because you hold the platform. Breaking news. We broke it first, and you can actually learn, and we are doing a follow-up. Because for some of us who will break the news, yes, you are the first to break it. The foreign media won't have access to you, the local, you will have more. So let's be consistent. Let's do a whole lot more. This news that we brought to you first, we are giving you a follow-up on it, so that they know that they broke it first. And that is how you get, because you need to, you see, in communication, you can never over-communicate. It's even better for you to claim it before, because if you don't claim it, somebody who does not own it will probably claim it. And Nigeria, people they are washed with information. So meaning that whoever they see it with is when they go with. So you need to constantly reinforce that fact. We broke it first, and this is a follow-up to it, and you are consistently looking, and you are seen to be in the right space by making sure that it's credible, it's factual, and of course, you lay right to it. And over time, they will allude it to you to say, look, if it's coming from that source, I think to a large extent, consistently, they've proven themselves. So you need to command that respect.
So I was just going to quickly chip in there that when we talk about communication, different types of communication for different audiences, one of the problems that we have had when we talk about politics in Nigeria is when we call for change, they say the change is not for it's not for the elites, it's not for the educated. It's the grassroots. That's where people are sharing rice and you're sharing 200 naira and things are changing. How do we communicate to these people? Because when we talk about Nigeria, that population, that segment of the population, they are the numbers. How do we start to tell? Because those stories, that telling you not to almost like sell your birthright, don't sell the next 4 years for a bag of rice. How do we tell a strong story to the common man that will help us unite?
Well, I think, like I said earlier, to understand those people. That segment, that is where our problem lies. Let's understand that. That's where the role of research comes in. I tell you what, those people you talk about, they have their own idols. They have their people who speak their language, who know how, and they have their people that they respect. It's just a matter of doing research to identify who are these people. Might be their local chief, might be the local musician. Those guys are strong, influential. You see, Nigerians are passionate about what they like. There are some people who just look at you, who are just like you. Any product you touch, they will buy, whether it's good or. And we tie it as a brand, and that is why you see some brand taking on brand ambassador. Because they know when that person touches that, people see, they don't want to care whether, they just say, because this person is doing this. You should sell Funke Akindele to them. Yeah. She's a grassroots person. She's a grassroots person, and she's positioned herself very well. You see, those are talents that we have that need to be utilized and utilized effectively. Many of those commanders, they know how to speak to them. I said something earlier. What you say is not as important as how you say it. And now you say it might not be as important as it is said. If you bring a professor talking to a mechanic, you are speaking above his head. After your story, we just tell you, we see the word. But and letting him know the implication. In fact, the fact that he sees that person at his side and the person is talking to him, his mind is already open to take in the message. And that's what barrier we need to break. Opening them up to be able to penetrate and making sure that we feed them in with the right information.
And that also brings in the power of Nollywood. Like the power they have is strong.
So it's a storytelling power. We have the Nollywood, we have the comedians in there. We have how do we bring these people to make sure that we utilize them and utilize them effectively? I think of all government parastates, I must give it to the Federal Inland Revenue Services. I think they happen the only one that I've seen who have sponsored comedy events. And the whole essence is simple. You see, there is no better way to get into people than to read them at their passion point. They come to comedy show, they want to laugh. Why you are laughing? Hey, pay your tax. There's nothing as good as reaching people at their passion point. But when they are at their passion point, they are open. They are more or less like, hey, I'm waiting to be tapped. Take advantage of it, tip in your media, and tip it in constructively and letting them see reason why and how easy it is. And before you know it, you have their support. And it is one avenue where government needs to explore.
Absolutely. We are out of time.
Unfortunately.
It's so interesting that when we're having you, I didn't even, please won't take messages. I mean, but thank you so much. But if you had one final thing to say to Nigerians, right? Just communicate some level of hope, to say that, and tell us why it's important for us to be responsible with the words that we say about ourselves and about our country. What would that be?
I think it's going to be simple. You see, I will relate it to what Seth Godin, one of the renowned marketing executives, he says, you can never be seen until you learn to see. You can never be seen until you learn to see, meaning you must learn to see opportunity. You must learn to identify opportunity, because when you identify opportunity, it brings in ideas. When it brings in ideas, you come top, and people will naturally see you, celebrate you, interact with you, relate with you, and always have that yearning. So we need to learn to see, so that we can begin to be seen. Absolutely. And that's one key important.
Absolutely. So learn to see,
so that you can be seen.
Begin to see. What's your one final word?
Wow. Communication is powerful. The ability to tell the right stories is powerful. I remember the first time I heard Chimamanda speaking about the power of the single story. Like, we need
The
to tell
danger of the
the
single
danger of the
story.
single story.
Yeah.
Thank you. You need to tell the right stories. You need to say the right things about Nigeria. When Twitter went to Ghana, everybody was like, ah, and then a few people said, well, you don't say the right things about
your country
on this platform, so why would they come here? We need to understand the power of our words. When people say things, I think I've shared before on the show that I really worry and I'm really scared when people talk about war, when people talk about violence, because I don't think we truly understand what that really is, but we just throw it out there. So your words are powerful. Even in faith, it's the same thing. You speak, there's life and death in the tongue.
Sure.
So we must understand the power of our words, and we must understand that we can achieve so much and we can destroy so much by our words.
Absolutely. Elsie?
I think Uti has said
Yeah,
it.
she has said it all.
She really has said it.
She's
What you say is really strong. And if you believe that you're not going to make it, I don't think anybody else can help you make it. So if you think that Nigeria, there are people, whatever good news you put out about Nigeria, they won't engage in, they're not interested. But once it's the bad news, it's feeding that part of them that they fed for a long time, and that's the only part that they can associate with and they understand. So we need to begin to rethink. And it also helps when you've traveled out of Nigeria, I think, and you see that our issues are not exactly just peculiar to Nigeria.
It's not.
So we need to begin to be hopeful and embrace the good part of Nigeria. We're not saying the governments are not doing things we say they are doing, but change your perspective. Change your perspective.
You know that quote that says, if you say you are a success, you are right. If you say you are a failure, you're right. So you have to choose what you want to say. I think that's the right word, for Thank you so much, Inka Debaya, for joining us this evening. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
All right, so in case you missed today's quote, here it is again. No matter what people tell you, words and idea can change the world. That's from Robin Williams. We'll see you live tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.